All right, we're gonna make this quick and simple. The camera setup you guys have been asking in the comments, so here it is. This is what I use to film my golf content. Kick in the intro. All right guys, we're gonna jump right into this one. So what am I using to film my golf content? Now this has easily been the most asked question in the comment section, especially pertaining to my last video that we put out of me being monetized. So thank you guys for commenting on that video. We got a ton of engagement. Appreciate you guys for that. But let's jump right into this one. Let's waste no time. What am I using for my golf content? Before I show you guys the camera setup, which is this right here, before we talk about it, I do want to reiterate and let you guys know that I am a filmmaker by trade. So the camera setup that I'm going to show you right now is on the pro level side of things, meaning that this is the setup that a lot of professional videographers use when they're shooting client work and things of that nature. Also, the price point is very expensive. Before we even get into it, this camera body itself, not a lens attached to it, just the camera body, is $3,500 US. Probably at the time of recording this video, it's probably a lot cheaper than that because this is a almost 3-year-old camera now. But still a beast, still stand the test of time. They haven't upgraded it as of yet, so we're probably gonna be looking to upgrade this when the new one drops. But as of right now, still a beast, still does everything I needed to do, and that is the A7S III from Sony. Again, like I said, pro level camera, $3,500 just for the camera body itself. That's not having a lens. You get one battery. You don't even get an SD card with that. So you basically just get the camera body and a battery with it. That's it. So you're gonna have to pair a lens with it. And the lens of choice that I like to use when I'm out on the golf course is the Sony 50mm f1.4 G Master lens. Again, this is a pro level style of lens. This lens right here is roughly $1,400 US, $1,400 bucks. So not cheap by any means, but this is the setup that I usually like to have when I'm out on the golf course, just because in my opinion, I feel it looks the best in terms of all of my other camera and lens combinations. Speaking of all my other camera and lens combinations, I have 3 camera bodies. I have 10 lenses. So again, I have a wide range of things that I can use at my disposal. And for me, this setup has just looked the best when I'm looking back at it. And if you're gonna use something like this, I would highly recommend that you actually get somebody to help you film while you're out on the golf course, because having to man this by yourself and set up the tripod and get your compositions and do all that other stuff while you're trying to focus in on golfing would be a nightmare. Can you do it? Is it possible? Absolutely, but it's not easy. And I've tried to do it when I first started, bringing out my own setup, the tripod, the camera, the lens, the microphones, all that good stuff, trying to set it up on every shot, having the tripod with me in the cart, pulling it out, and just wasting a bunch of time trying to set up the camera. It can be a little bit cumbersome. So I highly recommend, if you are going with a pro setup like this, try to have somebody tag along and shoot your golf content for you. For me, that person is my girlfriend. She is someone that is not in the film industry at all. I had to teach her how to operate a camera, hold the camera, do all that crazy stuff, change settings on the fly. So it's been a lot of trial and error with her on the golf course. There's been a lot of shots that she's missed. There's been a lot of things that we couldn't get just because she's struggling how to operate a camera. But as far as the last 6-7 months, she has been getting a lot better. So I have been able to focus a little bit more on golf and not telling her how to do things, changing the settings, what shots to get. But I still do have a lot of influence on that. But I say that to just basically say that I am not doing the filming on the golf course myself. I'm bringing my girlfriend with me. She's holding the camera. She usually has this exact setup with a monopod. And as far as the audio that we use, I like to use the DJI Mic 2 system. Again, this is more of a pro level type setup as well. I would highly recommend you guys not go with the DJI Mic 2 if you want to go a little bit cheaper and get the DJI version 1, which is this one right here. I have both of them. Again, I'm a professional filmmaker. I do this thing for a living. But I bought this one a while back, and when they came out with the version 2, there was one feature that intrigued me about the version 2 that I needed in terms of professional shooting. I did not buy these just for golf content specifically, but you know, now that I have them, I also use them for my golf content. But again, that one feature that was the upgrade from the version 1 to the version 2 is 32-bit flow audio. I need 32-bit flow. I don't necessarily need it, but a 32-bit flow audio is really, really keen to have when you're shooting professionally, because you have a lot of flexibility to manipulate the audio in post. If you have no idea what 32-bit flow audio is, then the version 1 is going to be more than capable of getting you your shots, getting you your audio while you're out on the golf course, as long as you're not distorting your audio in camera, which is a whole nother video. So if you guys need help on that, then we'll make a separate video on how to properly get audio with your cameras or your phone or whatever, which is also a good thing about the DJI mic system, because you can also use your phone and you can attach this receiver to your phone and have the transmitter just clip to your chest. Or I like to use lav mics. I am actually using the DJI mic system right now. So if you guys like the sound quality of this video, this is just the DJI mic going straight into the camera. Not even using the 32-bit flow audio right now, just so you guys can hear how good it sounds without 32-bit flow, because you really don't need it unless you're doing, again, like I said, professional work. So I like to use lav systems. Like I said, it's just better for me. It looks more professional. I like clipping the thing to my shirt and having the receiver in my pocket. I don't like clipping that big. It's not even that big, but I don't like clipping this thing to my chest, or I see a lot of people clipping it onto their hat. I think that looks kind of silly. I come from the world where we try to hide the mics as much as possible, so that's just me. Using the receiver itself or the transmitter itself, clip to your hat, clip to your shirt, something like that, is not a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But again, for aesthetics, for me, I like using the lav mic because it's just easier getting the receiver out of, getting the transmitter out of the, I keep messing that up. Getting the transmitter out of the way, just tucking it away in my pocket, and I'm good to go. So that's the audio system. But yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of my setup. Now again, like I said, I usually have my girlfriend shoot my content for me. So the monopod that we use is a Manfrotto monopod. It's a basic monopod, and you don't have to go real crazy on that. But if you're gonna be shooting content yourself, I highly recommend you invest into a nice tripod. It doesn't have to be anything super expensive, but something that's sturdy enough that's going to hold your camera, because when it gets windy out there on the golf course, you don't want the wind blowing your tripod and blowing your camera away and knocking it down and just wasting a lot of that money that you invested in it, because now you have a broken camera because it tipped over and it fell. So get yourself a good tripod, get yourself a good camera. But as far as cameras that I recommend, now again, I don't recommend this setup. Oh wait, before I even get into that point, I forgot to mention the ND filter that I use on my lens. Now, for me, again, coming from that filmmaker background, I love that cinematic looking video. So in order to achieve that, you need a lower aperture lens, which the 1.4 meaning is the aperture. The lower the aperture, the better the lens. This is why it's so expensive, because that number 1.4 basically tells you how expensive a lens is going to be. The lower aperture basically means that you can get a creamier, softer, smoother, blurrier background when you're shooting video. So if you're looking at me right now, you can kind of tell the background is a bit blurred out. Again, cinematic look, I just happen to love that look. I know some people in the comment section before has told me to crank up the aperture so we can see the ball landing, but I prefer the cinematic look. It's just me. I'm gonna rock with it. Again, I have the flexibility of having somebody record my videos, so it works. Going back to the ND filter, in order to achieve that when you're out on the golf course, especially in bright daylight, when you crank that aperture down to a 1.4, 1.6, 1.8, whatever have you, it's gonna be a really, really bright, overly exposed image, right? Meaning it's way too bright. So basically, what an ND filter is, ND standing for neutral density filter, is basically like sunglasses for your camera lens. You pop this onto the front. Now this is the Peter McKinnon Polar Pro version 2 edition, 2 to 5 stop. So you basically plop this on the front of your camera and it's basically just blocks out light. So when you're cranking it down to a lower aperture in your camera and the image gets really bright, you put this on, you darken it up a little bit, and that's what gives you that really, really smooth, really, really creamy looking image, which I am a big fan of, as you can see throughout this image that you're seeing on your screen right now. I think I'm shooting at a 1.2 aperture because this is my 50mm 1.2. It stops down even lower than the 51.4. The camera setup that I'm currently shooting on right now is a Sony FX3, which is a $4,000 camera body, paired with the 50mm f1.2 G Master lens, which is coming in at around $2,100, brand new. And again, that's the setup that I'm currently shooting on right now is more expensive than the one that I use for my golf content. But that's just, you know, that's just me. That's the style that I have. I have 2 cameras that are very similar to each other and 2 lenses because the type of videos that I shoot for a living, like weddings, corporate events, real estate, and all different type of stuff like that, I need multiple camera bodies to do that type of stuff because typically I'll have an extra shooter with me to get multiple angles. So give one camera body to another person just to get more angles when I'm out shooting professionally in the field. So with all that out of the way, trying to make this video as quick as possible. I know this is getting a little long, but I want to kind of tell you guys, give you guys some examples of what you guys can be using as far as cameras that I recommend, especially someone getting started into content creation. Now this segment can be really long, so instead of going really in depth in the camera equipment that I recommend, I'm just going to give you guys a basic starter kit. Everything that I'm going to recommend is going to be Sony based because that's the ecosystem that I'm in. That's the ecosystem that I came into the camera space having when back what, 5 years ago when I didn't have a camera. Walked into Best Buy, told the guy I needed to shoot video for my fitness company, and he sold me a Sony, and it was a wrap after that. Just started stacking up a bunch of Sony equipment, and I'm a Sony fanboy. But that's not to say that any other camera that you choose today would be a bad camera. Anywhere from Nikon, Canon, Fuji, any camera that you buy post 2021 will be more than enough to get you really, really good image quality. So the camera that I usually recommend for beginners from the Sony ecosystem is a Sony 6700. Now this camera shoots in 4K, it shoots in 4K 60, which gives you slow motion in 4K. And it's basically all you need. So more importantly than the camera though, is the lenses that you pair with it. This is what gives me that creamy image. It's not the camera itself, it's the lens that you pair with it. So just make sure you have a really good lens. I probably recommend you guys going with something like a zoom lens to start off, just so you can have some flexibility when you're zooming, when you're out on the golf course, so you can zoom in and out. 50mm 1.4 is a fixed focal length, meaning it's 50mm, that's all you're gonna get. You can't zoom in or out of this thing. You would have to move back and forth physically with the camera to get a wider image. So let me know in the comments if you guys want me to go into more detail about cameras that I recommend for you to buy. I don't want this video to get too long. So hit me up in the comments. Let me know if you guys want me to recommend you out some cameras. Let me know which camera brands that you are looking to buy, whether it's Canon, Fuji, Nikon, Sony. And I can hit you guys up and give you guys some suggestions on what I feel would be good enough to get you by on the golf course, just to shoot some golf content and get you going. If you don't have money to invest in a camera system right now, your phone is your best bet. I would say just go out and get a really nice camera tripod or get a really nice phone tripod, get out on the golf course, start shooting content, put it online, and just get yourself going. You can use the DJI mic system with your phone set up. So if you have nothing right now, use your phone, get that going, and then when you start getting better and you start progressing your content, then you can jump into something more of like a pro level system and get you a camera body and things like that. But again, use your phone first so you can know what you're getting yourself into before you start spending a bunch of money, breaking the bank, and then you not even use it because it becomes a hassle when you're out on the golf course. So hope that helped, guys. Again, hit me up in the comments. Let me know what kind of questions you guys have. I want to get those answered for you guys. So yeah, until next time, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs.